The red line wouldn't work because the bullet hole would be on the wrong side of the mirror. And also, I think it would be too high. The yellow line I don't think would work because the bullet coming at an angle like that wouldn't produce a nice round bullet hole. It would be at least an oval and probably shatter, take out a good portion of the windshield. Also, another problem with the yellow line is it's too far away to get an accurate shot. And the car would be moving in a horizontal direction from the shooter. It would be extremely difficult to make that shot. And then the side of his head more than the back of his head would be blown out with the yellow line. The driver making the fatal shot is really the only explanation. And like I said, it was very important for these people to make this shot. So point blank range is the only way to be absolutely certain that Kennedy would die. That next shot wouldn't have killed him. If he got to the hospital right away, he would have survived that. So it had to have been the driver that shot him. 50-some witnesses said the car virtually came to a stop. Now there's frames missing from the Zapruder film that don't show this, but Killer Man does seem to be going like this. I believe what happened is the driver stopped the car. Kennedy was shot right at the very focal point of this Masonic shrine. So it was very important to them to have him killed right at that spot. So he stopped the car right at that spot, turned around, shot the president, and then he took off driving, snapped out of his mind control like he was, all of a sudden had no idea. I should also add another thing that makes this look like a Rothschild thing, Illuminati, Masonic, is this was a Masonic square. Dallas is at the 33rd degree north latitude. This was the place where the first Masonic temple in Dallas had been built. He was killed on November 22nd. November is the 11th month. 22nd is 11 plus 11. So it's 11 plus 11 plus 11 is 33. A very significant number to the Illuminati Masons. He was killed right at the concave, this concave shrine. So it was like right at the focal point of that thing is right where he was shot at, exactly. This is pretty hard to believe was just a coincidence. Obviously, looking at everything, this was done deliberately, and it was very important for them to do this. Imagine somebody who's been brought up in this mind control. They've been tortured repeatedly to create multiple personality disorder, and then each one of these personalities is turned into is trained the way they want them to do. One personality is going to be a sex slave, usually. Another personality is going to be an assassin. Another personality is going to be a master spy. And then there's going to be an outer personality who usually appears to be kind of a dumb person. So the last person anybody suspect, like, look at some of these guys like Saran, Mark David Chapman. A lot of these guys in Oswald, they outwardly they appear to be stupid or crazy or both. Charles Manson is another one. Now, Manson is not stupid, but he does appear to be crazy. But Manson, I think, is broken out of a lot of his mind control. But they want him to appear crazy anyway, because they want the idea that it was a crazy hippie that did it. Because the whole purpose with the Tate murders, or the main purpose of the Tate murders, was to demonize the hippie movement, because too many people were starting to live off the grid, not paying taxes, not maxing out their credit cards, and they couldn't have that. That had to be stopped, because that's what finances this Illuminati, this satanic Jewish empire. And so they can't have a bunch of people living off the grid, heaven forbid, being self-sufficient. That's the worst. That's their greatest fear, is for people to become self-sufficient. They want everybody to be a slave to their system. Everybody's always looking at the wrong things with the Kennedy assassination, and most of that's disinformation. The gross negligence of the two whack-offs in the front seat. I used to insult them. I shouldn't insult them. If they're mind control slaves, I mean, these people have suffered, and they're not in control of what their behavior, so they can't be blamed too much if they are mind controlled, and all the evidence shows that they are mind controlled. Like I said, you'd think that even if they were paid assassins, they should be ducking down, I mean, there's bullets flying, but their job was to the president's bodyguard, as soon as the shots were fired, he should have yelled, "Everybody get down," jumped up and shielded the president with his body. That was his job. Even a rookie Secret Service agent knows that. And this guy is the president's bodyguard. And the first thing the driver should have done is his foot should have been on the floorboard, man. If those two people had done their job, the president wouldn't have been killed, all right? And yet these guys, they weren't even investigated, okay? They should have been put on administrative leave and investigated for gross negligence of duty. Not only did that not happen, these guys handled the evidence and were in charge of the investigation. So not only is the fox guarding the hen house, the fox gets to investigate who killed the chickens and stole the eggs, you know? I mean, if I had been the boss of these two guys, I would have immediately fired them, and I would have immediately pressed charges of first-degree murder and treason. I mean, there's no excuse for the gross negligence. And people don't ask the right questions. This is so blatantly obvious. And nobody asks. They're always worried about, oh, where did the fatal headshot come from? Did it come from the grassy knoll? Did it come from the picket fence? Did it come from some guy down in the sewer? They're not asking the logical, intelligent questions. Actually, the most important thing to ask is why Kennedy was killed. There's all kinds of theories. There's a lot of people that wanted him dead, but the only people that had the power to pay off everybody, you would have had to pay off the Dallas police, the Secret Service, the FBI, the CIA, the NSA, and most importantly, the world, not just national, world press. The only one that has that kind of power and money would be the Rothschild banksters, all right? There's 4 presidents in this country that were assassinated. All 4 of them just happen to have been trying to take down the debt-based monetary system. Now, there's disinformation out there, and this Michael Collins Piper, who wrote Final Judgment, his theory, well, in the back of his book, he says, that executive order, I think it's 11110, was actually to get rid of silver. Well, I don't know what all these executive orders are kind of complicated, and you need to know all those facts. For some reason, debt-free silver certificates were printed. Okay, the legal mumbo-jumbo is complicated, and I tried to look up some of these executive orders. One, that 11110 refers to another executive order, which refers to another. And it's very complicated. You have to have access to probably a lot of stuff that the average ordinary citizen is not privy to be able to look up a lot of this stuff. But the fact of the matter is, for some reason, in 1963, the last year Kennedy was president, they were printing up these silver certificates, which are debt-free, all right? Whatever the legal mumbo-jumbo is, these things did produce. They were very quickly recalled from circulation after Kennedy died. These are irrefutable facts, whatever the legal mumbo-jumbo is. And silver coins were distributed. Something was done to put out this debt-free money, okay? And I believe that is the main reason why Kennedy was killed. There's a lot of people that didn't like him. You know, the mafia, they said, well, the mafia did it. Well, the mafia doesn't have the power to pay off the CIA and the NSA and the FBI, okay? And some people, well, the CIA did it. Yeah, well, the CIA and the FBI are rivals. To get them to play on the same side in this thing, somebody would have had to pay them off, all right, with a lot of money. To get all these different groups all working together, they don't all play well together, okay? To get them all on the same team and willing to risk going to jail, being involved with conspiracy of high treason and first-degree murder of the President of the United States, they have to be paid, and they have to be paid well. The only one that has the ability to do that is the Rothschild banksters. But the trigger man were these mind control slaves in the front seat of this limousine, all right? There's no other explanation for what was going on that day. Okay, Michael Collins Piper mentions Israel did the president. Well, you got to realize in 1963, this Jewish-Israeli lobby was not as powerful as it is today. There are a lot of people openly critical of Jews, much more than there are now. Nowadays, nobody breathes one negative word about Jews, but then there were a lot more people that did. 1963, they hadn't really started shoving this Holocaust myth down our throats non-stop like they do. And that started like in the mid-70s, is when they really started pushing this Holocaust. 1963, most people never heard about the Holocaust. They maybe heard there were some Jews died, but they heard a lot of other people died too. So that angle is not as credible as the Rothschild banksters are the ones that did Kennedy. This Holocaust has been the most successful campaign in history to silence criticism about the Jews. It has been a very effective campaign, which is one of the reasons why it must be maintained at all costs, just like the debt-based monetary system. The Jews are never going to give up this Holocaust thing until they're absolutely forced to, beyond any control or choice they have. This debt-based monetary system, okay, is the scam of scams. It is the primary source of income and energy for this Rothschild-based world organized crime syndicate. And it must be kept going at all costs. Anybody threatening their debt-based monetary system must be eliminated, even if it's the President of the United States. Well, I guess I'll conclude this now. As time goes on, I learn more about it and put more of the pieces together. I mean, I've known a lot for a long time, but I keep learning more, and I try to make it plain and easy to understand what's going on. There was a time I didn't think I'd ever figure it all out. No, I've got almost all of it figured out now. Okay, the Rothschild banksters ordered the hit, paid off everybody, and the two guys in the front seat, they were definitely part of it. They were either paid assassins or mind control slaves. I think they're probably mind control slaves by the way they were behaving. I suppose that part I can't prove, but there's one thing I can prove without a shadow of a doubt. Unquestionably, they were involved.